Hello, I am here in Madrid and I'm here for a few days actually. I'm heading off to Argentina for a couple of weeks and we're gonna have some great fun shooting out there. I wanted to have a bit of a chat today while I'm walking around Madrid. I've shot a few little scenes for some cutaways, show you some stuff. I just dropped off a roll that has been through a couple of X-ray machines, so I was decided let's just go snap it. It's gonna look awful, but we'll see what we can do. And I've swapped the monochrome just while we're having the rest of this chat. But yeah, there's a few things I wanted to talk about. It's a bit of a different video. I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about is film versus digital. Now, since getting the M11 monochrome about 3-4 months ago, I've really enjoyed shooting digital. However, I still have nowhere near as much fun as I do when I shoot film. And I found a really nice way, I think, to explain what I mean by this. I would not choose to walk out of the house with my digital camera and no SD card. There's just no point. Whereas for me, I could walk out of the house with my M6, no film in it, advance the lever and press that shutter and still get a real kick from it. And I'd really enjoy the day still. And I'd enjoy thinking of what that frame might have turned out as. It's just not the same enjoyment factor as film. I also just obviously like waiting to see my images. I like slowing down a little bit. I like not pressing the shutter, making that conscious decision to actually not go ahead with the shot. And I think because it costs more, it means a bit more. So, I don't know, take that as you will, but that's my first thing to talk about. Topic number 2, street beef. What is this about? I'm getting a bit of a vibe here, and tell me if I'm wrong, but from what I'm seeing is people who shoot street photography hate the fact that other people shoot street photography. I think the way that I would describe it is a little bit like some people would hear an artist very early on and go see them in concert and then not be able to get tickets a year later and be like, oh, why is everyone listening to this person now? I found them first. And I think the thing is that photography is actually still so young in comparison to how long us humans have been around. So, of course, it's picked up and it's generated more and more interest. And I think people don't like the fact that they've been shooting on the streets for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 100 years, whatever it is. And now you've got this sort of new wave of influx. Or in other words, people like me. I've only been shooting street for 3 years. I'm still pretty new at this whole thing. And people just don't really like it. And I feel like there's a bit of a competition, maybe a bit of envy, a bit of jealousy. And actually, why? Why are we not just all excited for each other? Again, I don't want this to be like a negative video, but actually it's a bit upsetting sometimes seeing these people say, that's not street photography, and there isn't an actual definition of street photography. If there is, tell it to me, because I'd be really interested to know. But I wish we could just be a little bit more happier for each other that we're doing these things and not sort of getting upset or competitive. At the end of the day, I've walked the streets with so many different photographers and we've all photographed the same thing and all come away with completely different results. And I kind of like that everyone has their own unique spin, their own unique twist on it, and I don't really feel the need for any of this beef. And I haven't personally had beef with anyone. I'm just feeling there's a bit of a vibe, a bit of a consensus when I'm looking at YouTube comments of others or my own. And yeah, let's just make this community strong and appreciate why we all do it. It's so good for us mentally to be out on the streets and sort this, and I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, let's move the street beef if it exists. Maybe I've made it up out of thin air. The next subject is Leica hate. Why does everyone like to hate Leica? Why does it really matter? I just don't fully understand it. I personally, as you've probably gathered, love Leica. But I've also used a load of other cameras. I've used a lot of Fujis, used a lot of Canons. Yes, it's more expensive, I understand that. But people say you don't need a Leica to take a great photo. Of course you don't. No Leica user's ever said that. But one thing I would say is, if you had the best photo available to you to capture right there and then in that moment, would you not want the best camera to capture it with? Because we could take the exact same frame with a Canon 5D or a X100V versus a Leica. Let's not be stupid. The Leica is going to be way better, especially if you know how to use it. Leica is just great. Let's just stop hating on other people's brands just because we don't have one. And look, if you've had both and you disagree, great. It's good to have different opinions. And yeah, with photographers with so many different eyes and ears, we're going to have different opinions at the end of the day. Our next thing is a positive thing. good, because I am actually in a really good mood. I just don't know why I've suddenly said a few negative things. What street photography does for your brain is amazing. You can throw yourself into the busiest streets, the busiest cities, and as soon as you lift up that camera, you block it all out. It does wonders for people with busy brains. I've got a pretty busy brain, whether you want to call it ADHD, whether you want to call it mentally unstable. You know, I think sometimes when we've got so much sort of, I don't know, creativity and energy that we don't really fully know how to express, you can just get very, very busy. And what the camera does to me is it allows me to completely block that out. It allows me to forget my HMRC tax return form that's just arrived on my front doorstep. And actually I can just go and have a nice day and let tomorrow's Jamie have to deal with that, which is sometimes not so much of a good thing, but it's great for stress and it's great for anxiety, and it's also really good just to get out of the fast lane for a bit. You know, you're living in the fast lane the whole time, whether that's, you know, trying to keep up with clients, keep up with friends, pay rent. You know, there's so many different things to sort in life. And actually you go out and you have a day with a camera and it allows you just to put everything else down. So I think it does absolute wonders. And I also think that some people say when you've got a camera in your hand, you're not very present. And I'd actually argue it's the opposite. I'm incredibly present, and actually I've probably noticed far more things from having a camera in my hand than I would have if I just ended up talking to my friend who's next to me, or got my headphones in listening to a podcast or whatever people do these days. So yeah, I'd say it does absolute wonders for the head. Next one, lens choices. I like the fact we all use different lenses, and I kind of think that we all have our one lens that we truly, truly love. And for me, that's always been 28. Today I'm using a 35, trying to be different. I do own a 50 that I really enjoy. That's lovely. But what I love is being intentional with your lenses. And I think that can kind of go back with the headspace thing as well, is if you've got a wide lens, you need to get in the thick of it. You need to have a busy day. Whereas you take a slightly longer lens, you can just chill out a little bit more, stand back, admire the scene, and then pick off what you want to choose from it. And so I bear that in mind. If you're looking for a slightly quieter day on the streets, choose something maybe a little bit longer. If you want something where you really want to just indulge and throw yourself into something, go for something wider. You know, like an 18, 19, 28, you know, even 35, you can get some nice stuff. But choose your lenses wisely. And I guess the final one's probably my favorite reason. And that is that when I grow old and my mind grows weary, these photos are going to still be there, and they'll be brighter than the day they were taken. And I can't wait to see them again. And every time I press that shutter button, especially on a film camera, I remember the exact feeling of how I felt in that moment. Was I hungry? Did I need the loo? Was I enjoying where I was at? Who was I with? What happened that day? And I think at the end of the day, it's just going to be a huge collection of memories. And I really love that. I don't want to ever get older. None of us do, really. But when we do, those photos will keep us intact, keep our minds sharp. And we're very lucky for that. So to summarize, find your lens, find your factor that you want to use on the streets and make it work for you. Secondly, stop hating on Leica. Just enjoy what you're using and enjoy the photos that others take. If you don't like them, move along, it's not for you. Like Ricky Gervais said, it'd be like someone walking along and seeing a sign in a shop window saying free guitar lessons, and you calling up that number and saying, you're offering guitar lessons? Yeah, I don't want any. And actually, it's just not for you, move on. So I wish we could do that a bit better. Let's stop any potential street beef if there is any. Like, there are definitely YouTubers out there that I watch and I don't think that they're great photographers. Doesn't mean they're a bad bloke, doesn't mean they're not trying, doesn't mean they don't love it. You know, I don't really have much appeal for someone sitting at a desk and talking about gear. I like to see people out and about using these kit, but you know, that's just their preference in making films. So I think we just need to stop that and yeah, get out there, enjoy street photography, enjoy any type of photography. Let your mind just disappear and wander away and just get lost with it. It'll stop you thinking about your normal 9 to 5 probably, and just enjoy it. Enjoy it. Take your camera everywhere you can, photograph whoever you can, especially your family members, because you never know how significant those photos might be down the line. But as always, anyone who's taken the time to listen to me ramble on, talk nonsense, thanks for watching, thanks for the support. See you in the next one.